Okay, so I have my source file open and I'm gonna bring in my image to LiveTrace. So we're gonna go to File, Place, and I have to find my line work. And then I can just click anywhere. And the image is going to be placed. Now I need to live trace this. So I'm using the Move tool and I can select it. So I'm going to go to Window and let's go to Image Trace. So Image Trace has a lot of things you can do. I want you to click on Advanced and click on Preview so it shows you what it's going to look like. This looks pretty bad because my image was super tiny and my image actually was really low resolution, so it doesn't look very accurate to how I drew it. I'm putting threshold really high to get more detail. If I put it lower, there's not as much, so that's something to think about. I'm ignoring the white, otherwise the white becomes another object. Let's just deselect that for now. I'm having this as fills, not strokes. The noise is pretty high, that's because, so this kind of gives you less stuff, right? And this kind of gives you more detail. So that depends. I might decide actually this makes more sense for me. I'm going to do that for now. Okay, so when I'm ready, I'm going to say trace. And now, right, we can't do anything until we press expand. So we need to press expand. If you don't see that option, you need to go to Object and Expand. And just say OK. All right. Next thing we need to do is Object, Ungroup. And now, the white is, remember the white is a, you can see, right? This white is a shape. Let's go to, get rid of that for now. Command Y, this kind of helps me. Command Y is view, preview, or outline. That helps me see what things are. So after your live trace, if things are really funky, you can like delete some things. I'm going to take the white arrow, which is the direct selection tool, and I'm just going to click a corner of this edge and I'm going to delete it. And now let's go back to preview. Okay, so let's try to figure out what we've got. I've got, this is the outline of the bucket and then all these other things. If you're not like super crazy about how it live traced, what you can do is just do another one. So let's File, Place again, and we can kind of put things on top of itself. So let's say no. So it's already open. So let's what I'm gonna do is copy this stuff and let's put it, okay. All right, now let's try, okay, I'm gonna, let's try placing. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna place it. All right, okay, so the thing is that you can always do another live trace. If you don't, so do one, You have, say I like this bucket, I don't really like certain other things. So let's do another one. You can also live trace. I actually suggest you to live trace individually, not everything at once. So this time we're gonna do a different default. Let's do this line art. No, let's do technical drawing. Okay, this gives me some outlines of stuff. I can play around with the threshold here. I definitely want more to get more detail. Okay. Curve. So remember, this preset comes with the settings. If you start changing the settings, you're no longer using that specific preset. Something to think about. All right, and then when we're ready, we can just go object and expand. If you don't expand, it's not going to work. So remember that. And then you always also have to, this time I'm going to ignore the white. Okay, and now we're going to, so you can always go back. Command Z takes you back. So we're hiding the white, ungrouping. Let's try ungrouping again. If you click on it and everything's selected, that means it didn't ungroup. So object ungroup. Now that I have everything ungrouped, I'm going to select one thing and actually group that one. And then maybe I want to group this one. Okay. Maybe let's take this and group it. Let's talk about changing the color of these. So say I click on shape and I double click in the fill box and I try to make it a different color. It's just going to give me a gray. So let's go to edit, edit colors, recolor artwork. I'm going to change this one. I'm just going to click on a red or something, say okay. So now if I try to change a color of something else, this has the same problem, right? So if it's still in grayscale, I would do a select all. So Command A, edit, color, edit colors. Let's try convert to RGB and see if that works. Sometimes it gets really funky, so okay. So convert to RGB also will work to recolor the art. I have 3 versions here. I'm able to change the color because I converted to RGB and or edited the colors. Let's select 3 and make them bigger. I have 3 different sets, and this is tricky now because if I change the size of one and not the other, when I try to put things on top of each other, it's not going to match up. So I'm taking all of this set and I'm just going to enlarge it to this size. I may as well actually group it. So Command G is a fast way to group. And now that it's off that white background, you can see how when I did not say ignore white, that means that the white is now a shape. I like this size. I want to remember the size. I'm going to go to Window Transform for this window. Now I know that this is the width. Click on this button. This means staying proportional. I'm going to move this out of the way. Now let's select the other set. The other set is selected and I can put this number in there properly and it stays proportional. Remember to keep it proportional, otherwise it's going to stretch out. So now let's go over to this one and you can do the same. Window, transform, I'm putting in the width, and right away it makes it bigger and it makes it exactly the same size as the other ones. I can get rid of this window now. So this is why I suggest that instead of putting all of your images on one file, you take a photo or scan each image individually and do each live trace individually, because otherwise you have to do it all together and it gets a little crazy. If something's giving you some problems, for instance, I click on this and it's all together and I ungroup it and it's giving me some issues there, you can look at things this way. Window, layers. Okay. You should only have one layer. You're gonna click on this tiny little arrow. So then you can kind of figure out why something might be, when you click on it and you try to ungroup it over and over, you might find that there's a certain one of these. This is a compound path, which means it's a bunch of paths put together, and it's everywhere, and that is why when I click on one thing, everything is together. And then you also might find an area that you could make a compound path. So I've got all these things. Maybe I don't need that one, so I could delete it. So I have these are what will be the fill. And then I have this red, so I'm going to move this up. Okay, and that's that. I'm going to select each part by pressing Shift and clicking on this little circle, and these blue things come up, which means it's selected. And now I'm going to go to Object and Group. So now it's all grouped together. So now I have this plus this. Let's go back to my Move tool. I can take both of them. I could even group them now. I'm going to close this window for now. And then let's just put this bucket with the other buckets. So if you're having some weird issues going on where you click on one thing and it's like not ungrouping, just take a look inside of the layers and the paths, and then you can really see what's going on in there. Now that I have this, I have a lot to work with here. I've got some lines, I've got some fill areas, I have like 3 versions of each image, so I really have a lot that I can work with just made out of my live tracing. I suggest you live trace a higher quality. This is what happens when you live trace a really low quality image. It's just not going to look like your original drawing, which is quite a shame because the original drawing looked pretty good. So, high quality images for your live tracing. This is an image that's higher quality. It's bigger. This is my original drawing, and it's a PSD. I placed it in File Place. Let's try this one and see if quality of your image actually matters. Image trace. Let's press preview. I'm hiding my white in this situation. So that looks very much almost like the original. Don't forget to press Object, Expand in order to actually vectorize your image. We have a lot of versions here, a lot of crappy versions because of low quality images. This is why having a scanner is fantastic. If you like to draw, You need a scanner. So this is the end. You've got a lot of stuff to work